Now, if you struggle with one, stalling out your rotation going through impact, and two, sliding your hips in the downswing, there is one move you'll be doing with your hips that is absolutely destroying your ability to having a nice free flowing downswing. So in this video, I'm going to discuss exactly how you need to move those hips in the downswing to have an effortless, rotational and powerful downswing. So I'm Jonathan Chown with JChownGolf. Let's dive right into it. Now, what is this hip move in the downswing that's going to help you rotate freely through the golf ball? And that's called maintaining your hip tilt in the downswing. So this is an incredibly important part of the golf swing that is extremely overlooked. And for my golf swing, this was the area that really cleared up my ability to rotate quite nicely in the downswing. Once I got my hips maintaining their tilt in the downswing, I found it extremely easy to rotate through that golf ball efficiently. So what is maintaining your hip tilt in a downswing? So maintaining your hip tilt is where our lead side of our body, so our lead hip, so our lead hip bone is staying down whilst we're turning through that golf ball, maintaining your tilt to the ground as you're turning through. Now, golf swing, we know, ball's on the ground. We need to be tilted towards that golf ball to be able to hit it. We need to have our shoulders with our lead side low and our hips with our lead side low. Now, one of the most damaging things we see with players in the golf swing and in the downswing will be leveling out their hip tilt, so they're not maintaining their hip tilt. So we know what's maintaining the hip tilt. Lead side being lower as you're turning through the golf ball. Now this is hips leveling out, where that lead hip bone is raising upwards as you're going down into the downswing. You'll see a couple things happen when I do that. Even me just demonstrating it, lead side raising, you can see how my upper body has fallen back and the hips have started to slide towards the target. So if you're a golfer who struggles with excessive sliding, good chance your hips are losing their tilt. And if you're a golfer who struggles with their upper body hanging back, good chance your hips, again, are losing their tilt. And again, what else is it gonna do? If we are sliding those hips through leveling out that hip tilt, then we have too much excessive lateral movement of the lower body. So if we have an excessive movement of lateral movement in that downswing, our rotation is gonna stall out. Because if we have an excessive movement in any category, unless it's rotational, our rotation is not going to be able to catch up and it's not going to be able to turn through the golf ball because you're prioritizing a sliding move in there. So that's really where that leveling out your hip tilt is massively detrimental. So, but if we have our lead side low and we keep that hip tilt, we don't level it out, our pelvis is going to be having a much easier job in turning back and around, so you could say clearing your hips to some extent. Really, if we're keeping that left side low, now we're not going to have an excessive lateral movement, so we haven't got the excessive lateral movement which is stalling out our rotation, and because we haven't leveled out those hips, we haven't slided towards the target, our upper body isn't hanging back. So now we've got a much better chance because things are in nice balance to where I can just turn through that golf ball far easier. If you don't have this move, you're not going to be rotating nicely through the golf ball. Okay, so we know we need to be able to keep that lead side down whilst we're turning through the golf ball because it's one, going to help us turn through the golf ball, and two, it's going to calm down any excessive sliding movement. But before we really get into a absolutely brilliant drill that I've got at the end of the video for this, which I use so much in my own game, it is the drill that has really got my golf swing extremely rotational. We need to figure out why are players doing this? Why are they leveling out the hips? So we'll get to the easy one first, and that's a lot of players are just doing it. Very rare in the golf swing we have a part of the golf swing where really players are just doing it, and a big portion of them are. A big portion of golfers will be getting into a brilliant spot at the top of the backswing, and it could be a lot of them trying to really excessively get onto their left side of their lower body, which is sliding their hips through there. So that's where, at the end of the video, we're gonna have a great drill for this. But a root cause for why some players are doing this is they are turning in their backswing and they have no hip tilt in the backswing. So we know what that means. That means hips being level, having no hip tilt. So a lot of golfers will be getting up to the top of the backswing with very level hips. Now you can see one thing that's different in my golf swing right now that's creating a level hip tilt there is I'm having too much flex in my trail leg. So a lot of golfers who really adhere to the resisting the lower body, not turning their lower body all that much in their golf swing, very flexed right leg, what that does, that keeps your hips extremely flat and level when we do that. Now, If the hips are flat and level because we've maintained too much right knee flex, they're now going to want to slide because they're already level. That's the movement they're going to create. They're going to create a sliding movement going into the downswing. So why does that right leg really flatten out the hip tilt and cause you to slide as a result of that? And that is because when we get up to the top of our swing, our knees create and control what our hips do. In the golf swing in general, your knees will generally control your hips. So if we get up to the top of the swing and both knees are at equal flex, that means both hip joints are going to be level. Let's say now I release some flex in my trail leg. You can see already, look at the golf club. See how it's pointing down towards the ground. That's because with my right leg extending up, my right hip is going to elevate upwards. So now it's going to be way easier for me to keep that left side low in the downswing. But of course, if I turn with level hips and really a very flex right leg, look at that club now. It's extremely level. So now my only option is doing that move, keeping that hip tilt level, sliding, stalling out there. So we need to make sure that right leg is losing flex as we're going up to the top of the swing to create that good hip tilt. That's why this is such an important element of the golf swing. That right leg does need to straighten up, not till lock out. Doesn't want to lock out like this, but it does want to straighten up gradually as we're turning our hips up to create that hip tilt. Okay, so our drill that we can do for this. Now this is absolutely brilliant because all we need to do is have an alignment stick. Now what we do with this alignment stick, we put it through the belt loops of our trousers here. So when we put it through the loops of our trousers, now it's going to give us a visual representation of what our hips are doing in the golf swing in relationship to their tilts. So you can see for me, I've only got a tiny bit coming out here on the right hand side, but I've got pretty much the whole stick coming out on the left now. So if I get up to the top of my backswing, let's say I've got good tilt, so that stick's slightly pointing down towards the ground. But let's say I lose. I'm one of those players that just loses it through no reason in the downswing, which is quite a few players. You're going to see straight away, when I lose that hip tilt, that stick's going to be pointing down towards the target line. Flat hips, the hips are going to slide, you're going to stall out, your rotation going through the golf ball. So what we want to happen, go up to the top of the backswing, nice turn, stick's pointing towards the ground. We want it to stay down and turn. Look what I'm doing here, keeping it down and turning round there. So it's going, pointing down towards the ground, not away from me. That's going to mean my left hip's lower, and then I turn and get that stick to disappear around me whilst I'm doing that. So again, get up to the top of the swing, we want it pointing slightly down. If it's not, our trail leg's too flexed, lose that flex, and now get it pointing down around, going through the golf ball. So let me hit a shot here where you're going to see it quite nicely with what to do here. So you're going to see from that swing there, really kept that left side down low and turned round. My rotation with this drill is so much better than it normally is. That just tells you the influence on this area of the golf swing. Let's do what you don't want to do now. So let me have a flex trail leg and let me just slide it down towards the target and level out that hip tilt. You're going to see very different outcome. So one, my lower back clicked when I did that, so that we can really create a lot of tension in your lower back, lots of back pain. A player who actually does this move, but does it extremely well, so the bad move, is Jason Day. Jason Day can really perform doing it, but we know Jason Day's problems with the health of his lower back. Because he resists that lower body, his tilts are very level with his hips. They slide in the downswing with really level hips, and then he gets a bit stuck going through their lower back, creates a lot of tension. Ouch. So it's gonna hurt. So if you want a pain-free golf swing, really get that good hip tilt at the top of the backswing, maintain a downswing, pointing down towards the ground, then pointing down towards the ground and around in the downswing, and then you've got good hip tilt and you'll be able to rotate so much better. So guys, there we go. That is how you move your hips in a downswing in regard to the hip tilting movement there. When your left side or your lead side, depending whether you're right or left-handed golfer, is in the good spot, you're going to find it way easier to, one, rotate your hips, not have excessive slide, and easier just to keep better connection between your upper and lower body, so better ball striking in general. It is a brilliant move to do. Keeping that left side down, going through that golf ball, you'll be doing so much better. So if you like this video, of course, click that like button. If you've got more golf instruction just like this, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So let's get those hips tilting correctly throughout the golf swing and you'll be rotating so much better.